This is 911. Do you have an emergency?
Today on Rescue 911, an all-terrain vehicle flips completely out of control.
Whoa! Levi's hurt!
His neck is broke, and this is really, really bad.
One wrong move and the boy could be paralyzed.
I couldn't do anything for him except pray.
Plus, a moment's inattention could cause death.
Ma'am, calm down.
And one call could save a life on Rescue 911.
We begin on June 11th, 1991, as Ruth Fenwick and her family were finishing dinner in the long summer evening light at their home in a small town near Fairbanks, Alaska. The 11-year-old Levi, the youngest of Ruth's 3 sons, had just gotten his first ATV the day before.
Levi was, of course, excited because he just got his 3-wheeler and he was playing around with that. I went out to check on the horses.
Hey, Tika! Hey, Tika!
Out again. They both broke loose.
Here, grab your truck and take off.
Jim stayed at the house while his wife and kids went to search for the horses.
Ruth took off on foot. Jesse and Roman jumped in Roman's pickup truck and took off. And Levi jumped on the 3-wheeler and took off.
We went down to the store, it's half a mile down the road, and I was following him on the trail behind the 3-wheeler on my truck.
I knew that something was going to happen, and he was going down the trail that fast. His back end kept on bouncing up.
I was just putting the horses away, and I heard Jesse.
Whoa! Whoa! Levi's been hurt! Yeah!
He just told me, Levi's hurt, he's hurt bad. I was really scared. So all I did is just get going as fast as I could.
He was bleeding hardcore. There was blood all over his face. And then he wasn't breathing. For CPR, you're supposed to straighten him out so they have a clear wind passage. But then I was also worried about his neck, so I figured, well, he's gonna have to breathe, so I grabbed his head and I rolled him back. And then he started breathing real weakly, but there was getting air in his lungs.
Come on, Levi. Levi, you hear me?
And when he didn't move, I knew something was seriously wrong.
When we continue,
I kind of kept pushing it out of my mind that he's not going to make it. I was just helpless. I couldn't do anything for him except pray.
When 11-year-old Levi Ratinsky's ATV flipped and landed on him, he was left unconscious and bleeding on the side of the road. While his older brother Roman tried to keep him alive, their mother ran to tell her husband what had happened.
Levi's hurt.
I just threw down the tools and everything. I mean, I didn't need to mess around with anything except getting to my kid.
911, police and fire emergency. Yeah, I got a hurt kid out here. Pleasant Valley Road, 2 Rivers. I don't know who's beeping tonight. Okay, give me the exact directions on... Pleasant Valley Road, you'll see us in the distance. I kid flipped over in 3-wheeler. He's bleeding in the head. He's pretty bad. I'll get him right out there. Okay, thanks. Bye-bye.
A 2 Rivers rescue unit and an interior ambulance were immediately dispatched, but the ambulance was more than 20 miles away.
I started checking Levi for vital signs and all, checking his arms and everything, and he didn't have any feeling anywhere.
Hello? Hi, this is North Pole Dispatch. I've already got an ambulance on the way out there. Can you tell me how old he is?
He's 12 years old, or 11 and a half, okay? And I can tell you his eyes are dilated. He's got a large bulge. I don't know if his neck is broke or just what.
I just went to him immediately, and he was yelling, my neck, my neck, my neck. And I go, Roman, I go, maybe there's something under there.
I had to tell my mom to back off there. It was kind of difficult because I see the shape that she was in. But, I mean, I made my mind up there. His neck wasn't moving.
Volunteer EMT Tracy Ogden, a close friend and neighbor, came to see if she could help.
When I got there, I lowered his collar and looked at his neck, and in my mind I remember thinking, his neck is broke, and this is really, really bad. I was afraid that maybe it could even be worse than that. I didn't want to believe that, but I was scared, real scared.
Within 10 minutes of the call, Two Rivers Rescue arrived. EMT Tom Narrow was already on the scene.
You want to do everything you can for the child, but all the child knows is they're hurt. And you just want to stop hurting. Pediatric calls are probably the most stressful. A lot of it has to do with the fact that I know what I'd want for my children.
Something padding there. All right.
1, 2, 3, down.
All right.
I kind of kept pushing it out of my mind that he's not going to make it. I couldn't handle that. I was just helpless. I couldn't do anything for him except pray.
I just kind of stood there for a second. And there was actually, I mean, there was tears in my eyes, and it kind of shocked me. I didn't know if he was going to live at that point.
Levi was transported 35 miles to Fairbanks Memorial Hospital, where he was examined by orthopedic surgeon Ralph Marks.
He flipped his three-wheeler.
From the x-rays, we could see that he had torn everything that holds the neck together, and we don't like to say the word if we don't have to, but he's very, very close to death.
Over here. Dr. Marks was very matter-of-fact. You know, he didn't try to give us any false hopes. He told us this was very, very serious. This is right down where you live, your spine.
He has injured his neck.
And they said we're going to have to go in and operate. And they didn't give us any guarantee at all that he was even going to make it off the operating table.
Okay, somebody get at the head.
He had to be okay. I couldn't accept it. And I didn't want to let him go. I walked with him to the operating room. And I got to the door. It's like the realization that they're taking him off. They wouldn't let me go any further, and I might not ever see him again.
After 3 hours of surgery, Levi was transferred to intensive care.
During the first couple days, Levi was in and out of it. He had a lot of questions like, why can't I move yet? And I was able to explain to him how his brother really helped him and how close it came. And he was astounded. He says, my brother saved my life. You know, and he really wanted to see his brother. You know, he was really moved by that.
4 days passed. Levi began to slowly recover.
I never realized how much I actually cared for him until this happened. Because I've never had anybody that close to me go something through that serious. Life ain't a game, and you kind of got to take things seriously because it's too fragile. And it ain't like you get a second chance at it.
It took real knowledge on Roman's part to try to calm his brother down, to hold his brother's head still. They were really on the edge of the cliff. And what Roman did saved Levi's life.
Keep your elbow straight.
Levi is very fortunate to have gotten the good result he did. Most people don't. And in my opinion, the prevention of the problem is so much better than relying on luck. And the prevention of the problem here was don't ride three-wheelers.
1 month after the accident, Levi surprised everyone by being able to walk out of the hospital.
I got all my feeling stuff back, but I'm just weak. That's getting better rapidly. I just really thank Roman that he saved my life. I'm really thankful.
They're brothers, and they fight like cats and dogs, but this brought some real closeness between these guys that'll last a lifetime.
Next.
Ma'am? I couldn't understand her. She was just highly emotional, totally hysterical.
You said your baby is what? Drowning? Is he breathing at all?
When a life is at stake, far from help, we may be called upon to do things we've never done before, as Lindy Kurtz discovered on the morning of November 21st, 1991, at her home in the hills above Redonda, Washington.
That day was my wedding anniversary, and we were looking forward to going out to dinner that night and celebrating. Emily got off to school on time, and Kenny and I had gone and waved goodbye to her. He loves to see the bus come, and he'll just wave frantically and bye-bye and give his sister a kiss. I bathe him every morning about the same time, and Kenny loves to play in his bath. We have a little baby bathtub that we put inside. It's not a protective device at all. It's just something that Kenny can sit in and play with his toys. And I heard a truck coming up the driveway. It was our garbage truck. We had been there close to a month, and for some reason there had not been garbage pickup.
Is there a problem?
He said they'd had trouble locating us, but now they had the address and he would be our garbage man.
Okay, great. Thank you.
As I rounded the corner, I noticed that it was quiet.
At 9:14 a.m., a call came in to dispatcher Pat Forschler.
Fire Department Medic 1, address of the problem. My baby's drowning! Ma'am? 7824 Avenue South, Redondo! Okay, ma'am?
I couldn't understand her. She was just highly emotional, totally hysterical.
Ma'am, calm down. You said your baby is what? Drowning? In the bathtub. He's already blue. Did you get him out of the bathtub? Okay, ma'am. Try to calm down and I'll give you some instructions on what to do. How old is he?
CPR instructions are different for every age. So it was really imperative that I find out how old that child is, because if you give improper instructions, you could cut off the airway, you could crush the chest, because everything is different.
Try to calm down so we can help him. Tell me to do CPR. Tell me how. Yes. How old is he? Not breathing. He's 13 months old. Okay, what I need you to do is to get him.
Rescue workers with the Federal Way Fire Department were immediately sent to the scene, led by Captain Tom Thorson.
When it is a child, that's something you always dread, because it could be my child. You're a little worried about what you're going to find. Is it going to be something that you can fix, or is it something that's going to be too late?
He's on the floor. He's on the floor. Tell me CPR. Okay, what I want you to do is to pinch his nose, and I want you to put your mouth completely over his mouth. Give him 2 quick breaths, ma'am. Give him 2 quick breaths and see if the chest rises and falls. Okay, ma'am. Okay, we have help on the way.
You have to do whatever you can do to get them to shut up and listen to you. And as soon as you know that you have their attention, that's when you have to go right into instructions, because if you don't, then they lose it again. They'll go right down the tubes again.
Okay, what I need you to do next is to put the heel of your hand, of just one hand only, on the center of his chest, right between the nipples. And I want you to push down 1 to 1.5 inches about 5 times quickly and count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Good. Keep going. Keep going. Keep doing that. Help's on the way. You're doing real good. Keep going. I just left him for a minute. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Breath. Keep going. Keep going. No, you keep going. You have to keep going for him.
She started to give up a couple of times, and I had to get her to continue, because if she didn't continue, then it was over.
Is his chest still rising? No, there's water coming out. Okay, good. Turn his head to the side and let the water come out. We want the water to get out of there. Stop the compressions and stop the breath. Turn him to the side. Is he coughing? No. Is the water coming out?
When the water started coming out of Kenny's mouth and nose, I thought that might mean that he was already dead. And I was thinking about if anything were to happen to Kenny, I was thinking I would not want to live.
Lindy's husband, Dennis, raced home from work as soon as he heard what had happened.
My worst fear was that Kenny would not be alive. I started thinking about the funeral we'd have to go through, living in the house without Kenny. How would you possibly live in the house that your son had died in?
Are you getting air? Is his chest rising? No. His chest isn't rising.
Within 4 minutes of the call, the fire department arrived at the scene.
Somebody's banging on my door. Good, it's the help.
We didn't get any response, and as I backed up, I could see the mother running towards the front door. She was quite distraught and crying.
Are they there? Let them do it. You did real good. Okay, they're going to help him now. Okay, you did great. Goodbye.
Lindy did exceptionally. She was able to compose herself enough and be able to do what she was told and to continue and keep going. She was great.
He's trying to breathe on his own a little bit here.
Between the dispatcher telling her what to do and the mother doing it, the baby was trying to breathe on his own at that time.
When King County Medic 1 unit arrived, paramedic Tracy White took over Kenny's care.
The baby had respirations and a pulse, but his eyes were fixed and dilated. He was not moving. He had no gag when we intubated him, so he was not showing really good signs.
When I came around the corner and saw the fire truck and the rescue unit, I felt a little lost. I guess I just sensed more urgency at that point in time.
When Dennis arrived, it was a relief to me to see him. But in the moment he looked at Kenny, a sob came out of him.
He was just lifeless on the floor. And I remember thinking that Kenny was dead. I'm not a very emotional person. I keep everything in check. And I can remember grabbing my wife, and we stood and wept.
2, 3, got it. Ready? Right. Okay.
13-month-old Kenny was taken by air ambulance to the nearest trauma center. There was no room in the helicopter for his parents, so they made the 35-minute trip by car.
I had my fists clenched and kept hitting my legs thinking, how could this happen? How could I leave him for a moment? I told Dennis, if anything happened to my son, I love him so much. He's so precious.
The little boy was admitted to the Children's Hospital and Medical Center under the care of Dr. Dina Brownstein.
You can't always tell right away how seriously they've been injured. Children don't tolerate low blood oxygen levels as well as adults. And when they are deprived of oxygen, they very quickly have organ damage, perhaps the most important organ being the brain.
When Kenny was transferred to ICU, he wasn't breathing on his own. His future was uncertain.
We didn't know if he was going to have brain damage. We didn't know if he was going to live at that point in time. We didn't know anything, and so we began the watch.
Dennis and I stayed with Kenny all day. They allowed us to hold Kenny's hand and talk to him and sing to him. Approximately 9:30 at night, I was standing by Kenny's bedside and Kenny woke up. And he sat right up and he started talking to us, Dada, Mama. And it was the most precious moment. To know that our baby was going to be all right.
Within 24 hours, Kenny was released from the hospital without any sign of permanent injury.
If you have an infant, you cannot leave them alone, not even for a moment. Don't become distracted by the telephone or by any other thing to take you away. In just a matter of a few moments, I could have lost my baby.
We're very thankful for everybody that was involved, from Pat, the operator at 911, to the firemen that made it here and the paramedics. I'm very thankful to have another chance with Kenny.
I'm going to actually survey the scene, make sure that it's safe for me to approach the victim before I...
Shortly after Kenny's accident, Dennis and Lindy took a child CPR class, which they had been planning to do since before Kenny was born.
I'm just hoping that this will help convey the importance to all parents to learn first aid and CPR. It's vital. I'd like to see it become a part of prenatal care.
CPR is something that everyone should learn and everyone should know. You might not think you'd ever be in a situation where you need to use it, but you never know. It can save a life.
Step out of the car, please.